What if I told you that everything you think you know about how babies develop is probably causing you unnecessary stress? That all those books, apps, and milestone charts might be doing more harm than good? I spent 15 years as both a mother and working with hundreds of families before I finally understood what I'm about to share with you in the next 8 minutes. We all do this. Obsessively track every milestone, compare our babies to others, worry when they're not crawling by 8 months or saying 10 words by 12 months. We download the apps, read the books, join the mom groups, and drive ourselves crazy with worry. But here's the truth. I wish someone had told me when I had my first baby. Every baby is writing their own unique developmental story, and the sooner you can embrace that, the more you'll enjoy this incredible journey. I remember when my son was 10 months old. All the other babies in our playgroup were crawling. Some were even pulling up to stand. My little boy, he was perfectly content to sit and observe the world around him. He showed zero interest in moving his body through space. I was worried sick. I'd spend hours each day trying to coax him into crawling, positioning toys just out of reach, demonstrating on all fours myself, looking ridiculous, and spending way too much time on parenting forums at 2 a.m. One day, my mother-in-law, who had raised 5 children, looked at me and said something that changed everything. "Sarah, he'll crawl when he's ready. Not a day before, not a day after. And one day, you'll beg him to sit still." Sure enough, at 11 months, with no warning, he went from stationary to speed crawling across the living room in a single day. 2 weeks later, he was walking. What I've learned from both my children and the hundreds of families I've worked with is that development isn't a neat linear process. It's messy, unpredictable, and absolutely fascinating if you can step back and appreciate it. Here's what nobody tells you. Babies develop in spurts and plateaus. They might focus intensely on language for weeks, seemingly forgetting about their physical skills, then suddenly take a leap in mobility while their language seems to pause. This is completely normal. It's called concentrated development, where the brain focuses its energy on mastering one skill at a time. Let me share another revelation. Did you know that babies often experience regression right before a major developmental leap? I've seen it countless times. A baby who was sleeping through the night suddenly wakes every hour. A toddler who is using utensils starts eating with their hands again. Parents panic, thinking something's wrong. But actually, it's a sign that your baby's brain is working overtime, reorganizing neural connections before mastering a new skill. I had a mom in my community whose 14-month-old daughter suddenly couldn't go to sleep without an elaborate 2-hour routine. This child had been a dream sleeper from 3 months old. The mom was exhausted, frustrated, and questioning everything. A week later, her daughter's vocabulary exploded from 5 words to over 20. Her brain had been working through language connections all along. Another myth I need to debunk: the idea that development is all about visible milestones. Rolling, sitting, walking, talking. The truth is, so much of your baby's most important development is invisible. When your baby stares intently at your face while you talk, they're developing social cognition. When they repeatedly drop food from their high chair, they're learning cause and effect. When they seem to do nothing but sleep, their brain is consolidating memories and experiences. I used to get frustrated when my daughter would do the same thing over and over, picking up a ball and dropping it, again and again and again. Now I understand she wasn't being difficult. She was being a scientist, testing properties of her world. Repetition isn't boring to babies. It's how they learn. One of the most damaging myths is that early achievement predicts future success. I've seen parents devastated because their child wasn't reading by 4, convinced this meant their child would struggle academically forever. Let me tell you about my friend's son. He didn't speak until he was almost 3 years old. The family had him evaluated multiple times, tried speech therapy, worried constantly. Today, he's 12 and in the gifted program, particularly talented in mathematics. His development followed its own timeline. Here's what I've learned matters most: connection, interaction, and responsive parenting. Not flashcards, not educational videos, not expensive developmental toys. A baby who is securely attached, whose emotional needs are met consistently, who has plenty of opportunity for free play and exploration, and who receives warm, responsive care will develop optimally on their own unique timeline. I work with families from all cultural backgrounds, and something fascinating I've noticed is how development varies across cultures. In some Caribbean families I've worked with, babies often walk earlier than the American average. Not because they're more advanced, but because their parents and extended family physically interact with them differently, practicing standing and walking movements from an early age. Meanwhile, in families where babies are carried more and floor time is less common, babies might walk later but develop different strengths in social cognition and language. This taught me that there's no single right way for babies to develop. The environment shapes development, but babies are remarkably resilient and will develop the skills they need for their particular context. If I could go back and tell my younger self anything about baby development, it would be this: trust the process. Trust your baby. Trust yourself. Your baby was born with an innate drive to develop and learn. They don't need to be pushed or trained. They need safety, nourishment, responsiveness, play, exploration, and most importantly, connection with you. Those milestone charts? They're based on averages, with enormous ranges of what's considered typical. A baby who walks at 9 months and one who walks at 15 months are both completely normal. So take a deep breath. Put down the developmental comparison checklist. Instead, observe your baby with curiosity. What are they interested in right now? What brings them joy? How can you support their current fascinations? This approach is not only better for your baby, it's more joyful for you. Instead of anxiously pushing toward the next milestone, you get to fully appreciate the wonder of right now. The most powerful thing you can do for your baby's development isn't buying the right toys or doing the right activities. It's being present and responsive to who they are, not who you think they should be by a certain age. Your baby is not a project to be optimized. They're a person to be discovered. If you'd like more guidance on supporting your baby's natural development timeline, I've created a comprehensive guide called Development Without Pressure, available through the link in the description. It has month-by-month insights about what's happening beneath the surface, even when it seems like nothing is happening at all. Much love, and I'll see you in the next video.